when they announced Inside Out 2 and released the trailer, the movie was one movie that I felt very excited and curious about because the Inside Out movie, the first one, was good enough as a standalone Pixar movie. But I guess they wanted to explore new things of how Riley would go when she gets older, and where in this movie she'll become a teenager. And I think that's kind of an interesting idea. And so today I want this June until the 14th when Inside Out 2 comes out. I want to do something similar I did with Wish, where it's like watch and review a movie and one extra show for its excitement and journey to it. And this one, it will be the journey to Inside Out 2. Begin the intro.
Orange? Who made the console orange?
Do I look orange?
I didn't touch it.
Orange is not my color.
Not me.
Hello? Ah! Oh my gosh, I'm anxiety. Where can I put my stuff?
A new emotion. Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. We wanted to make such a good first impression.
What do you mean, we?
So 60 years after the original release, Disney made a sequel to Fantasia, Fantasia 2000, which I think is a very cool name for Fantasia. So it's pretty much the same type of plot where these host orchestra people host different type of sound cartoons with a lot of music that captures the tone of the anime segments. So it started out with this poorly CGI'd whales floating around the ocean, but then all of them go to the clouds, which is kind of a weird idea, but whatever, that was extremely bizarre. Then there is this segment where this construction worker is doing some weird zany stuff while this little girl is trying to find this red bulb before she can get crashed. And it was a very zany cartoon because it reminded me of cartoons from the 40s, which I think is a very interesting idea. And the way the characters are animated is crazy. There's one scene where where a lot of the characters like sticking to each other while going to the elevator before going to their apartments. That made me laugh out loud. That was crazy. Like this, I do appreciate that this movie still has doesn't I don't think this movie is good as the original, of course, but at least it has the spirit of what the original film was. It has some very unique cartoon segments. Although there was one, but then before the other one, there was this flamingo segment where these flamingos are doing traditional flamingo stuff, but this one flamingo is like playing with a yo-yo and looking at the flamingos of how to do it, but does it in a childish way, and the other flamingos start to beat him up and try to get the yo-yo, but the other flamingo gets to win. And I do appreciate that the segment still has good nature to them. Like, I really like the segments. Although the next one is Sorcerer's Apprentice, which I'm pretty sure was used for its popularity. But it was nice seeing it because it was probably the best segment in the original. And this one is the second one because I'll talk about my favorite one later. But it's pretty much the exact same story as the one from the original, like the Sorcerer's Apprentice, the exact same, no different. However, I do appreciate how the Mickey Mouse is in the real world, because in the original it was just thanking the host, In this one, he does thank the host, but he also talks to Jim and asks Donald Duck for the new short for the next segment. And that was funny because the Jim was talking, meanwhile Mickey Mouse was saying, "Donald, where are you?" And then the next segment was Donald Duck at like a jungle, I guess, with every single animal. And while he noticed love a little bit when he throw the bird, but feels bad for it quickly. And then Daisy has a necklace of her and Donald together. And Donald feels a little lonely until their romantic start to get with between Donald and Daisy. And the way the the segment started was pretty kind of interesting because they remind me a lot of Lion King. And the animation is still really good. I really like how each of them had their own type of animation. That's pretty unique and smart and clever. And there's no dialogue, of course, but that's okay. And the last one is my favorite one because it's pretty interesting of how it goes from beginning to end. So starts out where this floating being is floating around the forest until this volcanic murderous bird destroys her and the forest until this deer comes back and has a silent, no dialogue interaction with the floating being. And then, once things go well between them, she brings the forest back to the way it was, and they things get better. And I really like this segment so much because not only does it look really good, like it's the best animation in this movie, like so much. And in terms of the details, where it's like the dark forest, the messed up forest, or like the nice forest with a bunch of trees, it looks well drawn, especially with how she was bringing back the trees. The way they animated the growing trees is spectacular. I really like how they did it. And the animation on the characters look really good, especially the flowing being, the volcanic bird, and the deer. Like it looks really, really good. And that's why I really like this segment a lot. It was like the perfect standout to the story, to the not story, the movie. So yeah, I do think that Fantasia 2000 was it was it like the best they could do with like a sequel to Fantasia, and it kind of it pays respect to the legacy of it. And also there was a Steve Martin cameo as the host, which was kind of a weird choice because he doesn't do much at all. It was just in one scene. But in that, I thought this film was fine. It's not like Fantasia spectacular, but it's decent if you wanna see Fantasia 2000. Ah shoot, I forgot to talk about like the Tin Toy one, which I think was interesting one as well, where this is feels a little stop motionish, but it's not really stop motionish because of the animation on the evil toy looks really good. Kind of realistic, and it was crazy of the way that thing died. And interesting how they say that it was a hard Hans Chris Andersen story to make a musical of when they made adaptations of Little Mermaid and Snow Queen and Snow White and said I don't think those were. But I do interesting how that is how they made it into a silent full length anime segment. That was fascinating to me.